So with the league leaning more towards shooting threes rather than mid-range jumpers, amongst a lot of players influenced by this new playstyle, Trae Young has caught the attention of many and is one of the most exciting young guards in the league. Punishing defenders with his deep range threes after dribble combos, slicing passes through small spaces, and even mixing up defenders to score getting downhill, Trae Young is an offensive prodigy. Throughout the season, Young proved that he can lead this Atlanta Hawks team and be an elite offensive threat, and became just the second player in NBA history to lead the league in total points and assists. Although the playoff performance wasn't that great, and it shows some areas that Young can definitely improve on, coming into next season, Trey should be looking to have a big year. Sure, a lot of people have negative things to say about Young, and even some people think he isn't that good, which is a whole nother thing. Pairing Dejounte next to Young will help out with the lack of defensive ability Young has, and will also grant him more offensive help as all eyes won't be locked on him mainly, making them a great duo. Many thought that the rule change that the league implemented would throw Young off and ruin his game, but honestly it was the exact opposite. Trey adjusted pretty seamlessly and his production increased even more this past season. If we look at his 2020-21 season compared to his 2021-22 season, you can see he made pretty good leaps in every category while upping his volume as well. Creeping right up on averaging 30 and 10, the value Young brings to the floor is tremendous. Altering the defense with many different things, containing Young offensively is a very difficult task for any team. Shutting him down in one aspect doesn't take him away fully, as he can affect the game in many ways, and from your star point guard, these are exact skills that you want. Third in the league just behind James Harden and Chris Paul in assists per game, setting up teammates for easy looks is a huge part of his game, and he does so with such ease. Just in his fourth year, Young has already unlocked the vision and patience to let plays develop and thread the needle in tight spaces. Attracting more doubles this past season than he ever has, along with having a heavy load to carry this offense, you have to know where your teammates are at all times while not telegraphing passes to throw the defense off guard. You can see Sengun and KPJ double Trey, but he stays composed while keeping his dribble alive, and as Gallinari cuts to the basket, Trey looks him off and slices this pass through the defense for the assist. Later in the game, they run the same defensive scheme and double more aggressively this time, and after retaining his handle, Young bursts out past KPJ and whips this pass one-handed with the left all the way cross court for this Hunter 3. It's one thing to be able to make these passes, but having to deal with that heavy defensive pressure while still accurately finding the open man on the floor is what takes it to the next level. Trey's pretty seasoned at making these passes when this happens and can even throw some flash in as well. With the lanky Ingram and terrific defender in Herb Jones doubling Trey at half court, he dishes out this dime behind the back to Hunter for the warm-up jumper. Being forced into passing the ball isn't the only way Young sets up his teammates. The pick and roll with Young is more than reliable and opens up many options on the floor. Whether it's him creating for himself off of it, finding the roller, or cutters, Young has quick decision-making skills and delivers passes right on the money for open looks. Coming off this high screen, Trey gets Levine on his back, and as the backside help slides over, Trey fakes like he is passing to Capella, which throws everyone off, and he launches it over to an open Bogdan. Using this Bogdan screen here, Young splits the defense as LeBron reaches in and then places the lob right at the rim for Capella to go get. Placing any big man who is a decent lob threat next to Young is going to benefit their game greatly. Making the right decision, whether it's in transition, in the half court, or off broken plays, Young can get the job done. Like mentioned before, those screens open up more than just finding teammates, as it presents an open downhill floor for Trey to get all the way to the rim to finish with one of his creative moves, or to hang those floaters over the defenders. Trey is an average, or maybe in some people's eyes an undersized point guard, so nonetheless Trey can't really afford to be banging up with bigs in the air when driving to the rack, so using the soft floater more times than not helps tremendously. This season, most teams really played Trey very tight and didn't let him use his floater as much as usual, but when able to get to his spots comfortably, this is a perfect area for Trey to excel in. When getting all the way to the rim in the restricted area, Trey converts at 60% on 4 attempts a game, and on shots less than 10 feet, Young converts at a 52% rate on 7 attempts a game. Using herky-jerky quick moves, in and outs, hesitations, everything like that, Young is hard to stay in front of, especially when he starts getting into his flow. Shifting past Barrett on this misdirection crossover, once getting ahead, he gathers the ball low as Barrett reaches in and Fournier helps. Then instead of finishing on the left side where the shot blocker Mitchell Robinson is, Young finishes on the right with some English off the glass. Crossing half court, Trey dances off this first high screen, shifting Peyton, and once coming off, he changes directions quickly on the rim attack and is able to finish right past Wiggins. Being very sharp and quick on his crossovers make defenders lose him in the blink of an eye, and before you know it, he's already floating it over your big man. Although Looney can sometimes step out and really move his feet, Young is just too quick for him off this burst out of the size up and gets this floater up right before Green can even bother the shot and drops it in. And even slowing it down, you can see the craftiness to get to his spots as Young snakes around this slip screen and keeps Ja on his back. He then gives an up fake to get Morant and Adams in the air and then floats it up and over. The floater game is really special for Young and comes into play a lot. Him being a fantastic passer makes it hard for bigs to know if he's going to throw that lob or if he's going to toss it up for the floater. Then pairing that with Young's ability to be able to be a decent finisher at the rim, it makes guarding him when he gets ahead of steam downhill very difficult. Not only will you have to worry about the drive to the basket, a floater, or a fantastic dish to teammates, you also now have to worry about the array of moves he will throw at you to create space for the lethal jumper. Shooting the ball is the main aspect of Trey's game and is what draws people in the most. Exciting deep range bombs after mesmerizing handles is a beauty to watch, and for this young point guard, he has many tricks up his sleeve to throw at the defense. Getting into pull-ups from the mid-range, Trey shoots almost 53% on 3 attempts a game, and on pull-ups from 3, Young drops these in at a 37% rate on 7 attempts per game. Some will say the mid-range isn't valuable, and some will say it is, but in Trey's case, he can dial it in from in-between range or from deep, so shooting from either area isn't an issue. When coming off screens, you're not really sure if you'll be hit with a step back and be left running, or if you will snake around the screen hard to get into one of these mid-range jumpers. Receiving the screen at the logo, Young curls off to that free throw line area, snatches back, and is surprised with how much space he really has and then knocks it down. Sacrificing Cam Johnson on this island, Young sets him up with this momentum cross, then crosses back hard, and as Cam recovers, Trey snatches behind the back, making Johnson play Just Dance Revolution and knocks it down. Pretty special, right? It's one thing to be able to do this in the mid-range, but when you can extend out and still be a deadly threat, this is where you become nearly unstoppable. Trey is very confident, and maybe some will call it cocky, but after unlocking the skills to shoot the ball from deep many different ways while still being effective, you can honestly understand why he plays with such swag. Defenders have to make sure they play up tight against great shooters, because if they leave them open, it's most likely gonna drop in. Perfect example, as Young gets the ball back from Herter at the logo, none of the Raptors guys want to commit to Young, and just like that, they give up the 3. And with special shooters like Trae Young, even the smallest bit of sunlight to get their shot off, best believe there will be no hesitation to let it fly. Burks chases around this screen here, and just as Burks is leaving and Fournier is coming to help, it opens up a small window to get the shot off, and Young lets loose. And just to dig the point deeper, let's say you guard Young correctly when navigating around the screens, Trey still has counters that will make the defenders look silly. Getting the screen once passing half court, Young splits the screen with a cross through the legs, and as Lance recovers to stop him, Trey uses the in and out to shake him and then sinks it from 26 feet. Very flashy like when using his combos to get into his pull-ups, but also sometimes does it very simplistically. Young is not someone to leave open or lose track of on the perimeter. He can also create without a screen for himself, whether it's in the ISO, getting to that mid-range jumper, or the 3 as well. With Murray joining Trey in the backcourt, it should relieve Trey of always having to create a look for himself, as Dejounte can set him up more times than not to get an open shot. Young's shooting ability is very special and separates him from most guards in the league. The hate for someone this talented and this young is very odd in my eyes. Young brings a lot of value to this Atlanta Hawks team and is an offensive maestro when on the court. I think next year with him and Dejounte and all the chemistry this team already has, they can be a good competitor on the East side. With many more bright years in his future and hoping to lead this Atlanta Hawks team to major success, Trae Young is truly a young prodigy. If you enjoyed this video, you have to check out this analysis over LaMelo Ball and just how good he really is, or watch this Tyrese Maxey analysis discussing the tools he has to become a star for the 76ers. I thank you all for your support, and I'll see you in the next video.